Hello and welcome to another Link to the Past Randomizer 2021 tournament. Our match today is a Group K match between Skele and Pikapals. I am Zetno and I will be here with Sorcerer Finch tonight. How are you doing?
I am doing excellent today, Zethno. Thank you for asking. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. I want to give everybody a little bit of a quick reminder about our settings for the tournament. All the games in the tournament will be standard start, so we'll be going through escape, and it will be on hard pool. And if you, maybe Finch, do you want to go over some of the changes for hard pool for anyone that hasn't heard it?
Sure. So with the hard pool, we will not see the best sword in the game. We won't see the golden sword. We also won't be seeing any male upgrades. So everyone will be taking as much damage as the enemies will. We're also going to see only 14 hearts, and we're not going to see the silver arrows. We're also going to be skipping out on the mirror shield. All of those upgrades will become green 20s. But other than that, you know, that's going to be the item pool for this. And we already do have a so this is match 2 between our two runners. Pikapals won their match yesterday, and it was a very close one, just a 3-minute 40-second differential between the two.
And it looks like we will be starting in 3 seconds. And there he goes.
And Uncle begging Link to just, you know, do the game for him.
Oh, flute start. That's always nice to see. We're going to be jumping around the map, a lot less saving and quitting, a lot easier movement. So, we got a map check there. I saw red crystal at desert.
And I saw the green, vanilla green pendant in Eastern Palace.
And a crystal at Tower of Hair. So, quickly before we get to Uncle always gives a weapon. What are you hoping to see?
I'd like to see things that use the magic meter. So,
not that.
Not the bow. Although our runners will be very grateful for that bow, just because that gives out of logic access right off the bat to Eastern Palace. It's a required item. You need it to beat the game. And that's going to be the best bow that our runners get this entire seed.
Yeah, so it's nice to have the bow. The one thing is that it can kind of get funny if you're trying to get that bomb drop. In this case, we already know that the guard pack will not have any bombs. So our runners are going to have to use that bow likely on the mice in the back to try to see if they can get a bomb.
That is a good point. One of the nice things, though, about a bow start, though, and with any start with a weapon that uses ammo of some kind, whether that's magic or if it's the bow, Link will start out with 100% inventory. So whether it's the bow and 30 arrows, bombs and 10 bombs, or some magic item and a full magic bar. So that will also help. There's likely going to be some arrows. I did with those arrows, I think in one of the guard pickups, there's going to be opportunities to get more arrows.
Yeah, we already did see the arrow drop. Unfortunately, our runners were pretty much at full arrows at that point, having only killed 2 guards.
But that red bottle right there is also pretty nice.
It's definitely a nice thing to see. These runners probably don't need the safety, but it is hard pool, which doesn't really, which just basically stops us from getting that mail early. But it is also nice just to be able to check Sick Kid when we go to Kakariko in the first place.
Right. I mean, and right now Kakariko Village is looking like you can already turn in the flute. You can already visit Sick Kid. There's going to be a lot of checks that you won't necessarily have to double dip Kakariko Village for. So that'll be pretty nice.
Yeah, it will. I just want to also, as we're leaving this part of the dungeon, there's not really too much to see on screen, so I just want to comment on both runners' sprites tonight. We have Pikapals using his usual Pikachu, and Skele using his normal sprite as well, I believe.
Yep, the Shy Guy. Shy Guy's a good sprite.
Yes, it's just kind of funny on both of them because their sprites are very representative of their names, which is probably a very good reason that they both pick those.
Right. And yeah, already having that flute from Link's house, this is going to be a... Now, if they aren't saving and quitting, that is going to mean that there aren't going to be as many opportunities to start from the sanctuary without taking the extra couple seconds for the save quit. So that could still affect routing a little bit negatively.
That's definitely something. I think more so if they end up having to kill Aga, they'll do it less. Just because saving and quitting from the Dark World does not take you back to the Light World. It also depends on when we get that mirror. Because if you, as most of our runners know, but maybe not all of our viewers do, that if you save and quit from the Dark World and you have either not killed the Aga or do not have the mirror, then you will actually be returned back to the Light World. It's to stop our runners from getting stuck in the Dark World with no way back.
Right, and with just some arrows in the... now I like what Pikapals is doing, and Skele is doing the same thing to try to find some bombs.
Come on, second drop. The heart pack could have a bomb drop, but we're not. Nope. Full magic? Was that the second drop, or did I miss one?
That was a full magic and a fairy. That's a that's an interesting.
Oh, is there a fairy? I missed that.
There was a fairy.
Then there is a bomb in this one. Heart, fairy, full magic has rupees and then bombs.
And there's the bombs for Skele.
Yep. It's deep. It's six drops in, and a lot of those rats were not dropping anything. That's where you can run into a little bit of problems with ammunition. For example, look at Pika's screen. There's 4 arrows left. That is not a lot of buffer room.
Right. Now it's worth it to clear out to be able to clear out this room and say, hey, I finished escape. Even though all escape had were 70 rupees and a map of a dungeon that you've just completed, pretty much.
Yeah, so in this case there wasn't, but there can be important things. There can be something like boots that might just help our runners out really early. I could say a lamp in case they don't get a lot of hearts, because doing dark rooms at 3 hearts green mail can be a little iffy. But it could also contain the gloves, and it can contain the first required gloves, making any runner who doesn't get it the first time have to walk all the way through that dungeon again. And when that happens, that is a huge time loss if your opponent gets it the first time and you don't.
Right, and it does not feel good if the gloves are in there. And looks like Pikapals will be doing their route to check the Lumberjack Ledge. And that's a nice tree pull on both sides. Everyone getting some bombs.
Bombs, very nice. Skele deciding not to pick up that piece of heart. We're likely going to be missing a lot of pieces of heart by the end of this due to the heart pool, so it is likely that they're just going to ignore any early ones. Pika does see 300 rupees on the Lumberjack Ledge.
Right, so we won't be necessarily defeating Aghanim and having the tougher Hylian, tougher Hyrule just for those 300 rupees when there are a good number of rupee drops in here, especially considering there are going to be more rupees overall than a regular seed.
Yep, this doesn't completely discount Aga, however, just due to the fact that it can be our Dark World access.
Right, it's just we won't need to defeat Aghanim just for that. And there's 300 rupees and a hammer.
Hammer. Oh, that's a good bit of the way towards Dark World access right there.
that hammer is something that you want to see. While our runners don't have swords yet, whenever you start getting the pieces towards Aghanim, that starts getting a little bit more worrisome. Like if you pick up 2 swords in quick succession, and the lamp, or the cape and the sword.
Yep. Pika is just going to be clearing out Blind's hut, finding that hammer, and Skele will be giving us further information. We got a piece of heart. That's, again, not something our runners are really looking forward to at the moment. It's nice, but they're only going to be allowed to pick up 16 heart pieces, and there are 24 in the game. So those extra 8 aren't a huge deal one way or the other.
Right, and Skele getting the blue boomerang and a small shield, and for just the low price of 100 rupees.
A sword, not a skin.
Right.
Bottle vendor selling swords. I would definitely pay 100 rupees for a sword.
Right, I wonder if the bottle vendor has a couple more in stock.
Yeah, can we just upgrade it?
Wouldn't that be something, like, if you could just immediately, like, just ask for another sword?
Yeah, I mean, he's got more. Can't we just get a Master Sword and then a Tempered right now and just leave with all 3 swords? That would be so nice, but unfortunately, this game does not work that way.
But both of our runners will be happy to find not only the sword, but the hammer in Kakariko Village. The hammer does tempered sword damage, which is that's the most amount of damage that we're going to be able to deal in this seed. Skele does, with that bottle, just remember to check Sick Kid, just for some bombs.
Why is the Sick Kid making bombs? Or why does he have bombs? That seems weird. Hey, a mirror.
And that's a nice find early on. When we get to the dark world, we can immediately return to the light world.
Yeah, so that's the thing. That is one of the topics we mentioned earlier about we may still see a bunch of save and quits having the runners trying to get back to light world, but now with that mirror, this is significantly less likely that we'll be seeing a lot of save and quits. What do we have here? Arrows on race game. Not worth it.
Not worth it, but that's a good check because you can call you can call for the duck, and if it's a good item, then you can just move away from the duck and hope that the duck doesn't carry you away. And right now, the only difference between our runners so far is that is Pikapals checking, and there's the power glove. That's a great find.
Okay, so we can get into Dark World now. We can't do anything because we'll be a bunny. Well, we will be a version of a bunny, depending on these sprites. But we will be in bunny form.
That's right. And the only difference is Pikapals knows the Lumberjack Ledge entrance requirement. That is right now the only difference in routing between our runners so far. But we're going to get our mini Moldorm check here, and there's the Master Sword. That's going to be welcome, especially since...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, continue.
Especially since at this point, there's only one more sword to find. That's the sword that you need to beat the game. You at least need the Master Sword. So finding that early is going to be nice.
It's the reason I said ooh, like ooh, not ew, but is that we now need Moon Pearl to get access to the rest of Dark World. But now that we have that, if we find Lamp, we're just the lamp away from Moon Pearl potentially being on Pyramid Ledge and Aga being required.
Ooh, that is a good point. That is and it's just a bottle in Ice Rod Cave, which it's not a bad find. There are certainly worse items to find there. Depending on how many hearts get picked up, or if you don't find half magic, that could be useful. Pikapals making a play for the mountain, though. going to be navigating this room in the dark, which is probably a good call. It gives you an extra save and quit location. And at this point, you do have a good portion of the mountain open to you.
Yeah, Pika has mirror, so he'll be able to go up the left side and mirror into the Tower of Hera area. And he does have hammer, which means he'll be able to go over to East Death Mountain. So most of Light World Death Mountain is available.
But now let's see what Skele finds in Sasorilla's closet, and not a whole lot there.
Yeah, no. So, going to be continuing. I was going to say I wouldn't be surprised to see a... Well, I thought Eastern is a green pendant. So if Eastern was a crystal, I would guess that Skele probably would have continued and just done it in the dark. But considering it's a pendant, there's less value to going in there this early.
Right, and even though it's a linear dungeon, it's still a longer dungeon for being one of the earlier ones. And with just a heart container, not in Paradox Cave, in Spectacle Rock, Pikapals will be entering the Dark World for the first time. And a Bidoof bunny sprite. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So as I said, not a bunny, but bunny form. So looked like Akina's cave, unfortunately, did not have the progression Skele was looking for. So that's going to take a little bit of a long time to make up that time. It's quite a walk, even with the flute, if you don't have boots to get across that desert. Hey, we got the big key on Pika's side. Means we will be continuing in this dungeon now.
And that's good because I know there are a lot of different ways to execute the Harapot trick, but I think they all require the hook shot, which our runners have not yet found.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've seen a lot of runners do in a situation like this is if it is in the basement, and because we have access to a lot of Eastern Death Mountain, that some runners will pop in, find out it's locked, and go check Eastern Death Mountain first to see if they can find the hookshot.
And that's a good call because there are so many items in Paradox Cave, and there is the there's that small key.
Now, I'm not sure how many items Pika has picked up here, so I'm not sure if there could be an item in the basement still.
There still could be. That was item number 1. So Moldorm could have item number 2, and our runners would be very happy to see item number 2 pop up here in a short minute. And Skele is giving us a check. It looks like Misery Mire and Ice Palace are our other pendants, and Skull Woods is the other 5/6 crystal.
Yep, and that was a very close hit on Pika's side. That was like, I thought he was going to take some damage from the boss there.
But picking up that second item, which means that we won't have to go into the basement, and 16 minutes, 40 seconds, Pikapals has the first crystal.
Always very nice when we don't have to do basement. For anyone who's newer, the basement check takes a very long time, and you're basically waiting for this game's equivalent of an auto-scroller to finish.
Right. It's a good opportunity to get a drink, though, to get some water. And Floating Island just has a piece of heart, so we likely won't have our runners go and grab that.
Definitely not. As we mentioned earlier, there are 8 extra pieces of heart in the world that won't end up doing anything for our runners if they skip them. So pieces of heart will get skipped a lot. Now, Pika got this bomb jump first try. Skele looks like he will be getting it as well. It is a bit of a dangerous bomb jump in that if you fail it, you will fall down 2 floors of the dungeon back down to the main floor.
Right. So, but both of them executing it very well, and Pikapals going through Spiral Cave. Unfortunately, not a lot there, and especially the Spiral Cave without the boots is it's a tedious kind of check.
It very much is, but it seems to happen a lot. Skele not doing hammer strats like Pika, showing off the Master Sword strat.
But those are the boots, right there in Paradox Cave.
Of course they are.
Oh my goodness,
And
but that's
Skele
a good
takes
find.
down Boulder.
Very well done. And there's the flippers as well. So Paradox Cave is proving to be a... And there's the Moon Pearl. We do not have to fight Ganon. That's got to feel really good.
Yeah, no Aga fight today. Pika going straight for Hype Cave. This makes a lot of sense. Grab those 5 items. Very quick check. And then go where you need to with the flute and the mirror. If Pika decides that they want to go check something else immediately after this, then he will be able to do that just by mirroring and fluting away. Or if he wants to continue the Dark World checks over here, he will be able to do so as well. Since he has Hammer, he can go to the pod side, and he can just run across the south shore, or south side over to Digging Game. That's a Fire Rod.
Fire Rod and Swagnet, or the Bug Net, that's a pretty decent Hype Cave. Even though it started pretty rough with just a single arrow to start with.
Fire Rod's worth a lot. If once we have Mitts, we'll now be able to go into Ice Palace. With that Fire Rod, we can now complete Skull Woods. Unfortunately, Ice Palace is a pendant, so not a dungeon our runners probably want to go into, but it is an option.
And if they do try to find it, they might be hoping for the Cane of Samaria so that they can skip a good portion of the dungeon. Pikapals checking Cave 45, just seeing the 20 rupees there.
There was a question earlier in chat that I did miss that has been answered by our other viewers. But just for any newer viewers to the game, the Moon Pearl that we were talking about and kind of got really excited about, the one that Skele just found. If you go into the Dark World without it, you're not able to use your sword or other items until you have the Moon Pearl. So basically, Pika, when you saw originally going into the Dark World, he wasn't actually Pikachu. He was in a different form, which we call Bunny form, where you can't really use anything. So it's an extremely important item to find for our runners.
Right. And Skele getting the good news about the Moon Pearl. And Pikapals is going to be going towards Skull Woods, or at least the Village of Outcasts. Skele also heading that direction. Now, Pikapals will be able to complete Skull Woods. Skele missing that Fire Rod that's in Hype Cave. And Skele is checking at least the front of Skull Woods, which is pretty close to just being overworld checks, honestly.
It really is, but unfortunately, it is a little bit longer if you want to do the front sometimes, because what Pika will likely do is go straight to the back of the dungeon, finish off Mothula and the bridge chest, and I think it's the big key chest in the back there. And if there are 2 items from this dungeon are found there, then Pika won't even enter the front of the dungeon, whereas Skele will likely go into the front after this track because he's got nowhere else to go. This isn't anything as a bad play. This makes a lot of sense on Skele's side. He just doesn't. Pikapal's got wall mastered.
Ooh.
But he just doesn't know where the Fire Rod is, and he'll be probably a little annoyed when he finds it in Hype Cave.
Right. Both having the boomerang out, which is a good call. Those mummy-looking Gibdos, they will get stunned by that boomerang, which is helpful. And Skele getting the big key will check out the big key chest, which is just the map, and Pikapals does take a death. I'm not sure if that was intentional.
It was a death warp. He was down to 1 or 2 hearts and in the back of that room with the item, so there was no reason.
Absolutely then.
We're not finding anything here in Skull Woods. So that's just another thing, and Pika doing what I was talking about earlier, going straight to the back, because why go into the front of the dungeon if you don't have to? If you can complete the back and get all the items, then that's great. I don't know if there was even a single item in the front.
I don't think so. Pikapals is making short work of starting to make short work of the back here. And Bumper Ledge is just going to be a piece of heart. And Skele will now be checking what is on Lumberjack Ledge.
Yeah, so we're getting some confirmation with no items in the front. That means that whole check Skele just did, Pika will not do. But Skele will have to come back and do everything Pika did. So there's a little bit of an advantage picked up there. Otherwise, our runners are pretty much doing the exact same checks. And we've got a heart container.
But with that, in 24 minutes, 18 seconds, that is the second crystal for Pikapals. That was a good Mothula fight, which is already a tough fight with not a whole lot of hearts and a lot of ways to take damage. Mothula themselves aren't dangerous. It's just with the floor moving and the moving spikes, it can be a frustrating fight.
Yeah, it's definitely something I've heard from a lot of runners, that when you do boss shuffles, Mothula is actually one of the easier bosses to find anywhere else. It's just difficult in that particular there's it was both two heart containers, but Mothula is only really kind of difficult in that particular dungeon.
So Skele, okay, getting a heart refill. It looks like right there, and confirming something in the game where when you find the 5th and 6th crystals, that does open up the Pyramid Fairy check on the pyramid.
I think we're going to just basically, for the next little bit, see Pika following Skele across the top of Dark Death. Oh, no. Oh, we haven't seen the Kakariko checks. Never mind.
Right. And Graveyard Ledge being a heart container, which Skele will go ahead and pick up. It's still a full heart container. The heart containers are going to have a little bit more value.
Definitely, but they are also capped. Like we said, that you can only get 16 out of the 24 heart pieces. You can only get 7 out of the 11 heart containers.
Right, and there's the Bombos medallion. King's Tomb.
Mitts.
Oh. Well, those are important.
Mitts in chest game. Yeah, those are extremely important items. That gives us some additional ways of getting into the Dark World and access into a few other locations.
And Skele will be able to get those. Will likely be getting those at least this trip as well, which is also going to help. Pikapals is going to give us our first look at Thieves Town, though. There's the Tempered Sword. That is going to be the best sword in the game.
Yeah, that actually completes our swords. So the 4th sword, when we do find it, will be turned into a green 20 on Pikapal's side, and we will continue to see green 20s anytime one of our runners finds an item that has been pulled out of the pool.
But finding that tempered sword, it is such a world of difference between the fighter sword and the master sword, and then the master sword and the tempered sword, especially for the Ganon fight.
But not for the boss of the dungeon they're in right now. This is actually the one boss where it really does not matter. On blind, the boss of this dungeon, you have to damage him 3 times in each phase. It doesn't matter what you damage him with. Right.
It could be a golden sword. It could be the fighter sword. It could be a twig that Link just happens to find, like on the ground. 3 hit. All it takes is 3 swings, and.
So our runners are finding quite a few items very quickly. But anytime I see this in a seed, it worries me that there's going to be some item And we haven't found the ice rod yet. That our runners just spend a half hour at the end. They have all but one item, and then they just start looking for it.
Right. Pikapals having a little bit of trouble in that conveyor belt room, getting through it though, and our runners both do have a red potion towards the beginning of the game, so they do have a little bit of safety in the meantime.
Skele not liking this room either. It is a difficult room. In this entire dungeon, that is one of the hardest rooms, if not probably the hardest room to get through.
Right, and especially if you don't have the boots. Because as you're running with the boots, you get you at least have your sword out, so some of the enemies there. Oh, Skele down to 1 heart. Does have to be a little bit cautious.
Yeah, don't get hugged here. Any enemy here will be a death. And there's the red potion. I do not blame him in the slightest. And we have a book.
Ooh, that's an interesting item to pick up, just because that opens up 2 checks for us on the Bombos and Ether tablets.
Yep. It would have also given us access to desert if we had not just found the myths.
Right, and although with Misery Mire being a pendant, it's still, our runners will probably still do desert using the mitts and the mirror to get there. And what pun do we get today? A baker's job is a piece of cake. Thank you, Blind.
And Skele skips the big chest? Yeah, skips the big chest.
I think I can't remember if I had seen any dungeon items, but I think it was just a dungeon item in there.
That would make sense if he was counting and then he realized that it wasn't anything. I don't actually remember what Pika pulled out of there, unfortunately.
Okay, and yeah, it was a dungeon item in the big chest and on Blind. Pikapals taking down Blind, having taken down Blind. Skele also taking down Blind. That is the 3rd crystal for Pika and the 2nd crystal for Skele.
So that actually gets into a little bit of interesting timing from the runners. If you, as a runner, you count the number of items that you're finding, and you realize that there's nothing left, you can do things like skipping that chest because you know it's going to be a dungeon item that you don't care about. So Skele does pick up actually a little bit of time on Pikapals by remembering not to go in that room. Right,
and just 50 rupees in the Hammerpeck's cave. But Pikapals and I think Skele will start by doing the dig game, which at least it'll be a very quick dig game, if I remember correctly. It was, I think, only like 5 or so digs.
Yeah, but I believe it wasn't anything important.
It was a piece of heart. The 4th dig.
I'm pretty sure he tried to avoid picking it up and then accidentally walked into it because it bounced off the bush.
Right. And Skele opting to skip on the Smith chain so far. We'll be doing K45. Now, this could be interesting if the Smith chain has something important in this purple chest. That could be big, and it is just 10 arrows.
Well, the interesting thing to me there, too, though, is that Pikapals has now effectively isolated Bombos tablet.
That's a good point. And I think one of the other things is Pikapals is already a game up, so they can kind of just trying to figure out, like, if they're playing. Oh, and that mushroom, that's an interesting fetch quest item. But they can check a couple of these they're not necessarily as pressured to win this game. I mean, if they win, they're through to the brackets.
Ooh, that's not a particularly good item, unfortunately, for Pika to have left. That is the Cane of Samaria. Now, I wouldn't really be worried about Pika leaving it behind. When he goes over to do Swamp, he will likely go over and grab the Bombos tablet. But it definitely is going to help Skele to have that a little earlier.
Right, and that will give Skele the option of dipping into Turtle Rock once he gets the hook shot. Now, hook shot's not going to be in here, but it's still going to be a pretty decent hype cave. And just a small piece of heart to start with in Desert Palace.
Pika going over to the right side. Needs to go over to the right side. Needs that big key.
And Skele will be joining Pika in Desert Palace momentarily, it looks like.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You can get Mire Shed out of the way, which we're seeing from Skele and stuff from Pikapals earlier. So there's 2 items in there. Okay, Pika finds the map and the compass on the right side, so it looks like Lanmolas has her last item. That's actually why some runners decide to go straight to the boss in a situation like that first and see if it's there and then do right side. If their item is on right side, I think that's a little slower, but if it isn't, then you save quite a bit of time.
Right, and as you exit the dungeon, it also gives you a chance to loop in a Gina's check if you haven't already. Checkerboard Cave just having 20 rupees. But yeah, Skele will go ahead and actually with that Cane of Samaria, it will be required for Turtle Rock. If there's something in Ice Palace or Misery Mire that for some reason Skele wants to check out first, that's going to make the Cane of Samaria is going to make Ice Palace so much more tolerable. And out come the Landmolus on Pikapal's side.
A little bit of a miss. That's okay. With the Tempered Sword, this shouldn't be too bad, even though he's now low on magic. I think this spin should do it. Yep. And there's crystal number 4 for Pika. 36 minutes in. This is fast. We've got 4 crystals in 37 minutes. If they keep going at this rate, we'll be done very quickly.
Right. So thinking about the items that are left, though, like because we do need the ice rod, we do need the hook shot. We still might need ether or quake. We're not sure which medallion is required to open up Turtle Rock, and lamp would be nice. Our runners, I'm sure, will be able to navigate in the dark without the lamp. But it does make the Ganon fight a little bit tougher without the lamp, at least to start out with.
Yeah, and the game does expect us to have lamp to finish it because it would be expected for the Turtle Rock dark rooms as well as some of the pod dark rooms. But speaking of pod, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Pika head over there. It is a relatively high-density crystal dungeon that is fully completable at this point.
And if you were feeling particularly adventurous, you could also, from there, mirror to Eastern, and there are still 3 items in there. And while it's a relatively slower dungeon, it is at least pretty linear. And thinking about the other checks that are available to them as well, Swamp is open. They could do the left side. I guess they could do the left side of Swamp.
Yeah, it can go into swamp, but if you have, first of all, if you have another crystal dungeon that you can complete, just complete the crystal dungeon, unless it's super out of the way or super long to do. Just complete your crystal dungeons and look for things, and then we'll see where they go after that.
And a good land molus fight by Skele, and Pikapals will be giving us a check of the Pyramid Ledge and of the Pyramid Ferry as well, hauling along that red bomb right there. Available for sale once you have completed the 5 and 6 crystal dungeons.
You know, one of our viewers is making a good point in chat here. No one has done flippers checks. No one fake flippered, and no one has used the flippers to go do anything.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's weird to be this late in with, hey, Ether and a green 20. I wonder what that green 20 was.
I guess we won't really. I guess we won't really have a chance to know, and a different a different 20 rupee item on the Pyramid Ledge there.
Yeah, so it looks like Pika heading into pod as expected, clearing that completable crystal dungeon. Getting a hobo check in here very quickly. Speaking of the water and flippers checks.
Right.
This is a great way to route it in if you haven't gotten it yet. From the Dark World, you're right there. You need to pass this ledge anyways, jump into Light World, check this check, and then go back into Dark World.
And, you know, if it happens to be a heart piece, and that's the 4th one, just get a free heart refill when you enter pod. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
And Skele remembering that there are 2 items back here, so we'll go ahead and get this item to start out with.
Skele getting those items that he wishes he had earlier. Oh, Pika hasn't checked Saha yet. That's getting some very optimal time saves on Pika's side, just being able to do this right now, not having to come here in the Light World and in the Dark World.
Right, and it pays off as well, just because Saha there wasn't anything there, but it's the peace of mind being able to say, yes, been checked, there's nothing there, but that's okay. It's off my list.
Yeah, it's always nice to know that the location's gone and that there's nothing there, especially when it's a dense one, something like that with a room with 3 items. That was a fast Mothula kill on Skele's side.
Right, that was well done. And that is the 4th crystal for Skele. And at this point, right now, okay, and we got confirmation. We had the bow early on, so we weren't going to have a problem with a bow-locked pod. But the routing for this side can be done a little bit nicer, just being able to loop in more checks immediately.
Yeah, always nice grabbing that key.
And we do get a pedestal check from Skele, which is a great idea. You're already here, and in case you need to tackle the pendant dungeons, having the knowledge that you need to do them to complete the seed is invaluable. Pikapals, unfortunately, not having this small key does mean that the center chest will be isolated for right now. Unfortunately,
unfortunate.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Ped is dead as well, just being 3 bombs.
See, that's one of the other those knowledge things. Pika doesn't know that there's nothing on there, so that could be something running in the back of his mind. He's probably not going to be all too concerned about it unless he starts getting really low on checks and then worrying about it.
Right, and even then, in the pendant dungeons, there's 3, 6. There are 8 total items in spread across all of the pendant dungeons, and then plus 1 for the green pendant, 1 for the pedestal. Overall, it's just 10 items. and when there are 216, I think, total items in the game, it's not great.
Pika is not leaving this item behind. Gonna go check it right now. We'll see what Skele does. Could decide to come back to it later.
It's just a compass. That's and Skele doing the will be able to catch up a little bit of time just by virtue of not dropping into that keyed off section first.
Well, we'll see what Skele does next after this room. Will he go back? Or will he just continue on in the dungeon? We got arrows there on Pika's side.
And this dark room is still in logic because of that fire rod that they have. But the dark maze to the left, that's going to be out of logic. So that's going to be that's going to be more of a puzzle. We know the lamp will not be on that side. But there could still be the ice rod or hook shot or...
Like, at this point, we found I think we found arrows in this dungeon. That's... Ooh! Skele is showing off the glitch where you can walk through the crystal blocks. And yeah, he's decided to go straight to the back. He's going to ignore that center chest, which is going to be a great choice because it is a dungeon item.
Yeah. And powder is going to be a nice find. Just with having... just being able to turn anti-fairies into regular fairies, that will help you out. And 10 bombs in the big chest. But yeah, there is not a whole lot yet in pod. And Skele does still need to check the right side, so we'll be re-entering the dark maze.
Yeah, that's always an unfortunate feeling. On the other hand, he saved not this much time, but saved a few seconds with that cane glitch to walk through the crystals pegs, and then he'll probably save a little bit of room in the room Pika just came out of because he won't have to drag the statue due to that cane of Samaria. But I'm not quite sure why he did that side first. Most runners do the right side so that when you get all the way to that big chest after the entire dark maze, you can just mirror right out.
And Skele's showing off why this room is in logic. With the fire rod, you can hit that lamp, and Skele already using that powder to catch the fairy. So that's going to be safety if Skele runs out of hearts. They will be able to immediately get revived. And key for a key in harmless Hellway, because even though those bouncing spikes look scary, they won't. You'll be able to avoid them pretty nicely.
Yep. And we got a boss on Pika's side. Getting some nice hammer hits in here. And Tempered Sword for the finish. Nice kill.
And that was a very quick King Helmswar kill as well. Very well done. And for more bombs. But 47 minutes 38 seconds, already being up to crystal number 5. This is a very quick seed so far.
Yeah, but now we're in that situation where as a runner, you look at this and go, okay, now what? I can't finish Swamp. It's a crystal. My other crystal is Turtle Rock. I can't finish Turtle Rock, so I can't do my 2 crystal dungeons. I got 3 pendant dungeons I haven't gone into. Now what?
And I think Pikapals is making a pretty good routing call here, using that mirror, immediately going to Eastern, because it's not only the 3 items, but it's also the green pendant. And if you can pull the items out, yeah, I like I'm okay with this route right here.
Yeah, no, this is a great one. In Pika's mind too, he's also still looking for Hookshot, Ice Rod, and Cane of Samaria, plus maybe some medallions. So he knows he's looking for quite a few items. So odds are he's going to have to dip a pendant dungeon somewhere at some point. So he's standing basically outside this one in the Dark World, so may as well mirror and just do it while he's here.
Right, and we are guaranteed either the big key or a dungeon item in the big key chest in Eastern here. We've gotten both dungeon items, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, the big difference that makes is is going to likely take away the gamble. Some runners will gamble on a 50-50 if they're not sure if there's an item on that right side. But with them knowing that it's likely something, or at least the big key leading to something, there's no way they're leaving it behind at this point in the game.
Oh yeah, and with the checks that we've gotten, it is going to be the big key as well. It will be a vanilla big key.
And the big chest will have a item. It may not be a good one, but it will have an item. Pika getting through this dark room as well. The runners are doing a very good job of showcasing their dark room knowledge today. They make it look easy, but if you haven't actually played this before, until you get comfortable with them, some of those rooms can be tricky. The rooms that Pika and Skele are either have just or about to go through are some of the easiest ones in the game. However, the next one is a little bit more tricky because you will actually need to kill a very specific enemy and pick up a key that it drops. And if it starts moving around the room, it gets very difficult to find after that. But we do have the fire rod.
Right, and with the fire rod, with the fire rod, that makes this room tolerable. It's possible to do in the dark, but yeah, if the pattern just deviates a little bit, that is such a difficult room to get to, where it's worth almost just leaving that room altogether, coming back in just to reset the room.
Yeah, most runners I know will reset that room if they get off script, because it's very difficult to find that enemy in the dark.
Right, and there is a possibility left side swamp having the hook shot or a vanilla hook shot, that would definitely hurt. Pikapals setting up for the fast Armos Knight's kill, and does it very well for the Ice Rod.
That's important. That is one of our remaining Go Mode items.
Right, and it's a green pendant, so it's still going to be another item. So dipping Eastern already 100% required. And you had to finish Eastern as well for that Ice Rod. And Pikapals is going to turn in that green pendant right away. You're right here.
So now here's the thing. If we have the medallion for Turtle Rock, we can finish it.
And there's the hook shot. This is 100% required.
Okay.
And with that, yeah, we know where all of the items are. With the potential exception of Quake.
If we get to Turtle Rock and Turtle Rock is Quake, this could be bad. On the other hand, we were talking earlier about how it looked early on that Pika had a slight advantage in different parts of the game, and Skele was picking up some time here and there, a few things, not checking a few chests, but Skele, when he finds this, and he's definitely going over to the green pendant after this, is going to be in much better shape because he's already checked Bombo's tablet, but Pika might... Pika may be making me eat my words. If he goes to Bombo's tablet right now, they're going to be pretty even.
Right. Now, if I'm Pikapals, I'm probably checking, just doing Swamp first, and this won't hurt at all, especially since along this way you still have the chance for that. You're still... Although Pikapals will probably be doing left side Swamp, Skele won't need to necessarily, or won't necessarily think about it and take the risk that the Quake Medallion is not on left side Swamp.
Yeah, there's definitely that. The other thing is, depending on which diver down strats Pika knows, some of them require Samario, so he will need to know the bomb ones if he wants to use those.
Oh, that's a good point. And diver down, while it's not as, it's still great to use like with bombs, but it's definitely easier to execute, I think, with the Cane of Samaria. And it doesn't hurt nearly as much.
Yeah, it's the one in the back won't save him too much time, one way or the other. But that left side, if he does decide to check left side, is going to take a little bit longer. Unless he does bomb one. Which I'm guessing we're going to see, but we'll find out soon. Our runners are basically neck and neck here. They're doing the same checks. Skele is just a little bit behind Pika within the dungeon itself, but he does have Cane of Samaria from that Bombo's tablet. That's going to make the biggest difference. Will Pika go to Bombos after this? I have to assume that he will.
Right. This will be the best opportunity to do that. If not, it's going to be a very isolated check.
The other dangerous thing is that Skele may decide to skip left side, figuring that he may be okay, but there are still medallions missing.
And that's a good
he's
point.
Missing too.
That's a good point.
We know where Ether is, but he doesn't.
Right, and meanwhile Pika, like, we know where Bombos is, and Pika does not.
Yeah, so both runners have a 33% chance of being able to get into Turtle Rock. So they have to be a little bit careful with skipping too many locations, but they may just make that gamble.
And Pikapals is setting up for the bomb diver down. Looks like we'll have to try again.
Having a little bit of issues with it.
And this is, and does need to do this, and so it's going to be worth trying, and there we go. There is the diver down. Oh, absolutely. And especially once that room is flooded, the only way to unflood it, I think, is to leave the dungeon, and I think it's go to the next room, like the next screen altogether. Like it's a lot of rewinding that you have to do, I think.
I believe you just have to leave the dungeon.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not 100% sure on that. But either way, I was talking more over actually doing it the original way. It's still faster to do the diver down and fail it a few times than to actually walk around left side the 2 to 3 times required to actually do that.
Oh, that's a good point.
So yeah, it looks like Skele has decided not to check left side. That does not mean that we won't be seeing him come back after. Some runners will decide to skip it and come back in after the dungeon is complete. Sometimes it helps with where the big key is, various other reasons.
Right, and especially having the being able to immediately mirror out kind of once you complete the left side of Swamp. And Skele does give us our first look at Argus. With the Tempered Sword, this fight is much nicer. Just one sword slash to take down each of those little puffballs.
Yep, nice and fast. Gets one more. and it looks like Skele is about to get his 6th crystal. And for the first time since we started this seed, Skele has taken the crystal lead.
Right.
Again, this is not an actual lead. We are not necessarily saying Skele is ahead until we actually know what opens Turtle Rock. I don't think we'll be able to say that.
Right. And especially Pikapals is about to face Argus as well and get that 6th crystal. Skele opting to save and quit from here.
Leaving that left side. I foresee this. He's just going straight to Turtle Rock. He's going to find out if it's which medallion is required. If he has to go back, then he has to go back. But if it's Quake, he's going to save a lot of time just coming up here rather than going through all of Left Side Swamp. And we know that Left Side Swamp was not anything important. But he does not know that. And Pika picks up his 6th crystal. We are tied up 6-6 apiece. Right.
And this does also give you a very nice number of checks with the tablet that Skele is remembering to check. Which could be, it could be Quake. It's the lamp!
It's lamp!
There's that lamp after doing a couple of those dark rooms.
Well... Okay, well that just puts a whole bunch of things in logic.
Right. And
pod crystals in logic, no?
Right, after completing it, after having completed it. And Pikapals did get that Canis Samaria as well.
Not happy with that being there.
No, but
probably would have preferred to have it before that dungeon.
But here's the moment of truth.
They're both going up to check it.
And it's Quake!
It's Quake! It's Quake! Neither one of them has it! Oh my god! That's... Wow! Wow! That's... if... For the viewers, if you were looking for the best thing for you to watch, for you to see, that is what you were looking for. Both our runners are going back to check locations.
Right, and they both do have Dark Death Mountain as well, so there's still a good chunk of items here. And Pikapals does also get that lamp as well.
Oh, wow. That Quake can pretty much be almost anywhere in the game at this point.
But now Skele does have an advantage of, if it's in Misery Mire, Skele already has Bombos. Pikapals does not quite yet.
Yeah, Skele will be potentially thinking in the back of his mind, too, about that swamp chest that he skipped. Probably won't go back because it's not anything too important. It's not very dense. There aren't a lot of chests, but we'll see. We still haven't seen the Zora area.
Oh, you're right. You're right. We saw the hobo. We did not see Waterfall. And Skele making a good call. Was about to save and quit, and then remembered we have Spike Cave.
Oh yeah, check this while you're here.
And Skele does have a ferry, so this is going to be pretty close, though.
Yeah, if you can, check this while you're here. There's pretty much nothing else left up on Death Mountain, so if you don't check it now, you're going to last location this.
Right, and let's see what we have in Spike Cave.
Good use of hookshot. It's a green 20.
Of course.
Well, yeah, it's something you're going to see a lot of at the moment. If you notice that Pikapals actually has all 14 hearts already, so he can't get another heart. So anything health related will be a green 20.
And it looks like Skele... Let's see where Skele will be going. Might be going towards... Oh, I think we'll be checking the Pyramid Ferry and the Pyramid Ledge. And actually, that would work out because that would loop and kind of guide towards Catfish, and then from there, mirror and check out the Zora area.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of really good checks for Skele, and for us, too, because we don't actually know what's up in that Catfish Zora area. Skele actually doing the little bit of a damage boost off that enemy to get that, be able to dash with a bomb, because otherwise you're going to leave it behind. checking Hylia Island, I think. Oh, it's a bottle. It's a bottle. We're not coming back for that.
Now, will the bomb still work? Because, I mean, the fuse, I think, just got wet.
Yeah, it'll work. The bombs here are very resilient.
That's a fair
High
point.
roll, there we go. Our high roll bombs are very resilient.
I mean, they should be for 100 rupees a bomb. I mean, my goodness.
Well, it floats too, which is actually quite helpful.
Oh. Okay, and
Yes.
Skele does pick up the bomb before it explodes. It looks like to talk to the hobo did have to start the bomb's countdown.
But manages to get it back. That's interesting that was the Sanctuary Heart, because the Sanctuary Heart will always be in the game, and if you haven't found it yet, and all of the other heart containers will still turn into green 20s until you find it, if it's the last heart. So that's why Pika had that one heart advantage. He's having a little bit of issues with his boot stash. Just gonna say, forget it. I'm gonna walk.
For just the couple extra steps.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed that. That was a piece of heart from the hobo. I apologize. I just saw the heart refill. I apologize for that.
But both of our
heart
runners...
refill will do that too. But that's still good information about the Sanctuary Heart. It just wasn't the particular case this time.
Right, and Pyramid Fairy does give us some green goo, so that's going to be a nice magic refill. Especially since we haven't found half magic, which that's going to be a good find. I mean, now with Lamp, you're not as worried about Ganon's Tower with having to use expensive fire rod shots, but still like to have a little bit of safety at least.
You know, Skele has found that Ether is probably going, of course it is. Of course it's not Quake. I need one medallion, and it gave me the wrong one.
And going to be doing an intentional mirror bonk here. Very well done. To be able to leave the screen, immediately come right back, and get a single. For some reason, gonna be skipping out on that single rupee. Can't imagine why.
You know, Pika did the same thing. We're gonna have to add no at this point in the game. In all seriousness, for any of our newer viewers, we're joking. At this point in the game, there's absolutely no use for that.
Right. It's not there's no collector's editions rupees at this point.
So Pika has now picked up Bombos as well. So now both runners have found the other medallion that the other runner had.
Right, and they're both heading towards the same area. Skele a little bit ahead, so we're gonna see.
This is neck and neck.
Yeah, this is a very close match.
And you know, if it's not here, this could get very interesting because then we're gonna see where the runners go, what they decide to do.
Right? Do you dip ice or do you dip Misery Mire? Oh, we don't have.
Oh, there it is.
106.34, we are in go mode.
And Pika's going to be... Oh, Pika accidentally picks up the 5 rupees. Pika's going to be in go mode about, what, 20 seconds later?
Right. This is a very close race, and this is going to come down to GT Big Key routing. How well do you go through Turtle Rock, which is still a tough it can still be a tough dungeon, especially with Green Mail. Now with 14 hearts, our runners should be able to get through a good portion. Having a little bit of trouble trying to avoid that dead rock right there.
So yeah, you said 106, 30, 106, 30, was like 36?
Just about.
Skele, it was 54 for Pika, so we're in like 18-second difference here between our two runners. You're right. This could very well come down to GT Big Key routing, but it could also just, if they do the same route, this could be a very pure... Ooh! Skele losing a second or two, not getting that portal. We're getting chat. Well, it's one of our chat members is telling us a 13-second difference coming, or either in or out of Super Bunny Cave. They're on the same screen. They're both waiting for the dungeon to open. This is close.
Right, Skele's in at 108.08, and Pikapals is going to be in at right around. It is a 10-11 second differential between the two.
Wow, this is gonna come. This is close. You know, we were talking about all those divergences, different routing, different things they did, and when it comes down to it, they ended up in the exact same place at the exact same time. Speaking of routing divergences, Pika going to the top right first, Skele going to the left first.
I'm guessing it's 6 one way, half a dozen another. It probably helps getting that key for Skele just to start out with.
So there are those two tracks, not really getting anything important. Key and a big 20.
But actually right here is going to be a good reason why, because even though we're in go mode, we don't have the Cane of Burna or the Cape, so we don't have a way to avoid damage right now. So Skele did get bullied a little bit by the rollers and is down to 6 hearts.
And I was about to say that Skele actually had just a tiny lead coming out of that room, like by a few seconds, and no, Pika now in the lead. Chain Chomper room, very, very dangerous room when you have green mail.
Right, but there is that half magic. That is going to be a welcome find for our runners.
Definitely, but you know, I said this is a very dangerous room. Skele walked into this room and used the potion immediately.
Right.
that sounds about right. That room is not fun, and when your nerves are high, you're in the later stages of a race, it's really easy to accidentally miss it. But he came out of it at full health, so
right,
wasn't really needed.
Right, but especially since they will do 4 hearts of damage. That is absolutely that's a rough room to be in, and you don't want to take a death there. At this point, you do not want to take a death. And
yeah.
Skele's gonna miss the big key.
No, I was about to say Pico's having issues with that poke. Yes, good.
Okay.
Skele, yes. Go back for that. Please don't leave that behind.
That was a needed double check. That was such a needed double check.
Oh, that could have been so bad.
And it's still gonna be a couple extra seconds. Even though he did catch the mistake quickly, that's gonna hurt.
Yeah, but that hurts a lot less than getting all the way over to the big key door and finding out he doesn't have it.
That's true. Now, Skele will opt. Okay, they will both take the same route. Neither of them, I'm anticipating, will check Mimic Cave. And I'm guessing they're leaving and entering from here just so that if they do take an accidental death, then they don't have to go through the entirety of Turtle Rock.
Yeah, a little bit of safety. The only things left in the game that could be even semi-useful to our runners is some sort of invulnerability. However, these runners likely don't actually need it. But, you know, it never hurts to have something like a cape for the Ganon fight, just in the event that something goes wrong.
Oh, absolutely. Ganon can still be a little bit troublesome, and especially trying to get the 1-1 cycle, where you just in one quick cycle being able to go through phase 1 and phase 2, and that's a quick key on Laser Bridge. That'll be nice.
And yeah, Pika leaves everything behind. There's, you know, whereas it's nice to have a little bit of invulnerability, no one's going out of their way for it this seed. These runners, ooh, Skele. Yeah, okay, we're good.
And Skele will actually be checking Laser Bridge, it looks like, or at least one of the checks, and just nopes right out from there.
That's an interesting. I don't know why.
A nice swag dash with the Canis Samaria, but Pikapals is on Trinex. Takes down the red head, the fire head very quickly, and there goes the ice head for Trinex. So just one head to go.
That's quick and a good switch. While the head is exploding, you cannot quick swap your items. So you cannot switch to the other rod, but if you switch to the other rod before it starts exploding, you will be able to continue using the other rod.
And we were just talking about an invulnerability item, weren't we?
Yep, always nice, and even better when it's a long way.
Right. But this is one heck of a race.
So if you look at chat, you're going to see a whole bunch of random numbers being posted in there. So a little bit of a game that we play. There are 22 chests in Ganon's Tower, so that can hold the big key, and you're guessing which one it is. So any number from 1 to 22. Finn, do you have a normal guess?
So I'm going to go with, as quick as the seed has gone, I'm going to go 17 today.
17. I always say 8, so I'm going to stick with my normal guess of 8. We're just going to mark that we have entered GT, so that kind of ends our...
Oh, and number 1.
Oh, wow, 1. Okay.
So, boots were required, by the way. I think they were already required in... But here's where routing is going to... And Skele also going left side. They will not lose time to Hope Chest.
Okay, so congrats to a few of our viewers. I'm going to get this first one wrong. It was... I definitely said that wrong. I apologize. Homemade beer, and I saw another one as I was scrolling. Stayman HS. Oh, GM Big Kev. So a bunch of people guessed 1. Congrats to everyone, and if I missed anybody else, I apologize. But congrats.
And that's honestly also remarkable. Both of our runners checked left side before checking Hope. The Hope room, which doing at least the first couple chests kind of on that way, like that could probably save time. The Dark Magician strat, where you do left side to the Stelphos room, and then you mirror, go to the right side, complete that. And Skele has to be a little cautious. Does have only 4 hearts right now. And Skele did already use the blue potion. Use a blue potion.
Not getting the safety fairies there.
But as Pikapals wraps up the gauntlet, Skele enters said gauntlet.
That was a good, quick first brew. See how the rest of this goes. Skele did have a little bit of issues with the first Mimic room.
And especially this room here with the second Land Mollusk fight here with half magic is so much nicer. You can use the fire rod and not worry about magic for this first part of the Wizrobe room right there. Gets a nice quick satisfying Wizrobe kill there.
Skele grabbing that fairy from the bunny beam, definitely with his health at that point, definitely a good call.
Right, now grabbing that does throw off the timing a little bit, and she is down to like no magic at this point. Now we'll be able to kind of get through this all right, but that's going to make things a little bit more tedious kind of coming up.
Pika getting up into the tower. Top part of the tower here. Skele getting through the Cane of Burna rooms, as they're affectionately called, as everybody uses Cane of... Or, I said Burna, Cane of Samaria rooms, because, as you can see, why?
But did have to do that second cycle. That's just going to cost an extra... It's just an extra second or two, but at this point, every single second counts. And Skele does use the green potion. That's great. And Pikapals having a little bit of trouble using the hook shot, but does get 3 bombs, which immediately get thrown away because already had 10.
Yep. And Skele's now up into the second torch room. Yeah, we're pretty close here. And Pika does have a lead, but this is also silverless Ganon. So that always has a little bit of a chance of throwing somebody off, taking a few extra seconds, taking an extra cycle or two. The difference between doing doubles or triples could be huge in a race this close.
And that was a great triple right there. And down goes Aghanim at the 119, falls over at 119.16. And we find out that it was Ganon this entire time.
What a shock. Yeah, 3 cycle for Aga though Aga 2 is extremely good. That's about as good as you're generally expecting as a good run. To get the perfect 2 cycle actually requires a little bit of Aga's cooperation.
Right, and again, already thinking ahead to when he succeeds, he's going to throw a parade. Pikapals already through phase 1, starting the slashes for phase 2. Using that hook shot to... As long as you're using the hook shot, you won't be taking damage. So that's a great use. And to phase 3, Skele takes down Aghanim. This is a close race, but Pikapals is on phase 3 already of Ganon.
Yeah. Phase 2 tends to be the most dangerous in terms of doing damage or running into issues. The biggest problem now is going to be not accidentally getting bumped by Ganon in phase 4 and getting knocked off the platform.
Right.
It doesn't happen often, but that would, for either runner, that would just mean pretty much a loss at that point.
Right, and we get confirmation that the silver arrows are in a different game altogether. And from here, it is just 12 spins of the Tempered Sword, because Ganon will still take damage without the silver arrows that the game expects you to have. That was a little dangerous right there.
That's what I was talking about. You get bounced back quite far. So if you accidentally have an issue... I think that's 9 on Pika's side already, though. So I think we're almost there. I'm right. Oh.
And down goes Ganon on Pikapals. Get your GGs in chat, as Pika just has to cross the most dangerous bridge in the game and not fall off the platform, which would cause a refight. But succeeds, and GG to Pikapals, who finishes in first place.
With a race time GG time of 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 44 seconds. This is a fast seed. And I want to comment that Skele's in phase 4 as well, but both runners very well executed, very well played.
And a great save as well. Skele right on the edge of the brink right there. But this is going to be this was a very close race through and through, and just a couple checks.
And a little bit of a slower climb on Skele's side. That very well could be just nerves and going into it. This was a do or die situation for Skele, so Pikapals will be advancing at this win. But Skele completing the boss fight, and
unfortunately,
Skele will cross this bridge with 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 57 seconds as his final time. There was a final time difference of just over 1 minute.
And that is incredible. And with that result, Pikapals will be advancing to the bracket stage as the runner-up for the group. And unfortunately, that is going to be Skele's run for the tournament. But what an excellent race between the two. Just very well. That was a great close race, especially. I think, especially with yesterday's as well. They did such a great job.
Yeah. Yeah, so we will be getting both our runners in for an interview. And actually, we are joined by both our runners in the booth. GG's.
GG's.
Hey, GG's.
That was close.
Yeah, I'm surprised it was that close because I felt like I was playing really bad, actually.
Well, and you two, especially towards the end, were nearly lockstep when y'all went up to the Zora area. You both checked the waterfall cave, and immediately that was it.
I believe we had somebody timing it, and when you both entered Turtle Rock itself, you were 13 seconds apart.
Oh, wow.
And you both had the same routing in GT as well, so there was no routing difference, so it just came down to mostly GT and the climb.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. When I saw the medallion requirement for Turtle Rock, I was like, oh god, I have no idea how well I'm doing, because there's a chance he just found this in some random overworld check. And then when I found it in Waterfall, it's like, oh god, this was available forever ago.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
So something we have to actually kind of tell both of you to get your reactions on. You both went up to check on that, both with one medallion, both not Quake, but not the same medallion. One of you went up with Bombos and the other one up with Ether.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't even remember where either of them were.
I know Bombos was King's Tomb, because I found it on my way to Quake, and was like, oh, now I have to check Meyer. But yeah, I have no idea where Ether was. I can't even remember.
Ether was Pyramid Fairy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We just had an interesting conversation watching you two going up, because we were wondering, one of you had a massive advantage for Bombos, the other for Ether, and we were kind of hoping for Quake.
Yeah, I mean, when I was climbing up there, I was like, okay, best case scenario, this is Ether. Worst case scenario, this is Quake, because I might have to dive Meyer if it's Bombo, or if it's not Bombos. But apparently Quake was, or Bombos would have been the worst case scenario there, with how things ended up.
Yeah, I wasn't super sure how thoroughly I should have been doing Swamp in that situation, but I guess it didn't really end up making that big of a difference.
Actually, you did pick up some time there, but because you didn't do left side, Pika was a little more ahead of you up until Swamp, and you caught up quite a bit of time by not doing left side.
Okay, yeah, I was even thinking of skipping Compass Chest in the first one, just because I was feeling like my execution was pretty bad. And to be honest, I think I have to get kind of lucky to beat Pikapals. So I was thinking of just going all in on the Bombos TR. Decided to be a little bit more conservative in the end.
And being able to avoid dipping Ice Palace and Meyer, that has to feel good. And both of you were in Eastern at the exact same time, right after Pod. Kind of what was going through your mind when you're seeing kind of how that dungeon played out? And for context, the Ice Rod was the item on Armus Knights.
Yeah, it was interesting because, you finish Eastern, or you go through Eastern, it's like there's nothing there. There was nothing in pod, I think. So it's like, well, I got one crystal out of all this. Going through Eastern hasn't helped much. And then Ice Rod drops, and it's like, well, this could be massive. And then you turn in the green pendant, and it's hook shot. It's like, well, it's probably still big, but they aren't full clearing swamp for Ice Rod anymore, more than likely.
Yeah, I was kind of under the assumption that we were both going to end up doing that. Just with pod being a crystal and the mirror being early, and also actually in our first game, mitts were on green pendant, so I had a little bit of recency bias there, thinking that, well, green pendant has to be a good play this time, so I kind of assumed we'd both do it, and I think it sounds like that is what happened pretty quickly.
Yeah. Main thing I was wondering was whether or not either of us had just taken our bow straight from the start and went straight into Eastern for fun. But
we were talking about that on comms actually, and we were saying if it was a crystal, we would have expected at least one of you to have done that. But we figured because it was that green pendant, we weren't going to see anyone do it for a while.
yeah, honestly, just with the bow start made me want to go Eastern, but the flute meant it's better to activate that immediately. And then getting hammer and mirror in Kakariko, it's like, well, if I put off Eastern for a little bit, then I can just one-shot that entire area, and that'll be great.
That makes a lot of sense. Actually, you tied your everything else in with your pod. You tied in Saha as well. We saw the closet.
Yeah. It was nice just getting to one-shot that entire area.
Can't come up with too many other questions about anything specific. I would just say that you two had very different routes at the starting and then just converged about halfway through the race. But I don't know if either of you have any other thoughts on the seed.
It's definitely a good seed, I think. Definitely the best one of the 5 races we've had so far, by a long shot.
Yeah, it was certainly much better than the last one last night.
Yeah.
About 25 minutes faster or so, I think.
I guess speaking of other races, Pikapals, any thoughts looking forward in the tournament?
We'll see how it goes. I have no idea who I'm up against in brackets, or if anything like that is even decided on. But certainly a lot of good players in the brackets and in groups. So looking forward to more interesting matches.
So, Finch, do you have anything else? I guess it would be my question there.
I think I'm good. Thank you so much, the two of you, for the fantastic race, though. That was so well run. I can't speak how highly like y'all did. And I bet, especially after last night's race, it was kind of nice to find a loaded Thieves Town.
Oh yeah, this couldn't be any more different than last night's seed.
That's for sure.
So, and actually kind of along those lines, when you get like an extreme of a seed, kind of speaking in general, and you're going to be racing a couple in succession, do you like seeing a much different seed than the first one? Or I guess either way, you'd want to see a quick seed where it's not necessarily a jet seed, but something where it's not a 2-hour finish because like your required power glove is on the swamp big chest.
Well, I definitely enjoy playing seeds like this more, but Since I think I was the underdog in this matchup, I probably should prefer the other kind instead. Like the kinds of races that devolve into ice rod hunts, because I think that would have given me better chances. With these jet seeds, it's a lot more execution based.
Yeah, this one tried its best to be a ice rod hunt seed, but then Quake was just right there in an easy location.
Right.
Yeah, these jet seeds are always kind of scary because you never know like how well you're doing, or if you, when it comes down to that one item, you just have 100 places left to check, and you have no idea which one of them is useful.
Right. And
yeah, that's definitely something. And I guess from your side, I don't know if you're thinking about what the other runner might have checked, if that plays into your mind. Not necessarily, well, I mean, potentially in where you go, but any thoughts? Like, I guess my question is, do you think about where the other runner might have already gone or what they might do?
I think about it occasionally. I usually try to avoid letting it dictate my routing too much, but I do like to think about the other runner might have done this then, so I feel X amount ahead or behind based on what I got when.
Yeah, this one I think I felt like it was pretty straightforward until the Quake hunt. So yeah, I was mostly thinking that we'd been doing the same things, but maybe we weren't. I don't know.
Yeah, it felt like it would probably be that way. Just like the one thing I could think of that maybe would give me an advantage was all the stuff in Eastern, and even then, it's like Eastern's not a bad play when you're doing pods, so chances of that being an advantage are slim.
Yeah, especially with the green pendant too.
Actually, something we didn't really mention, one of the other big differences was, I believe, Pika, you only went into Skullwoods once. I believe, correct? Because you went to Hype Cave first?
Yeah, I started at Type Cave and ended up working my way up.
Oh yeah, I was worried about that actually, because my first Skullwoods dip had 0 items in it.
Yeah, it turns out when there are 2 heart containers in the back of Skull Woods, it's kind of nice when you get the fire rod immediately.
yeah, that was one of the few differences, but that was significant. But even in the end game, once it got to the end game, like right after Eastern, for example, I think you both had the same clusters of items to check, like the Zora area, the 2 other pendant dungeons. So you both definitely routed the correct way, as it turned out, to grab that Quake medallion. But it was such a close race.
Yeah, on my end, I know there were a couple embarrassing moments for me, especially like in Turtle Rock. I fell off the platform in the hub. That hurt really bad. And then I don't know if you guys noticed, but I almost skipped the lava chest because I forgot I needed the big key. That probably hurt me pretty bad, given how close it was at the time.
We were very worried you were going to leave it behind. Very worried you were going to leave it behind.
And
because just because there was about, as we said, there was about a 13-second difference going in. I think by that point, Pika was about like 20 seconds ahead, 20, 30 seconds, whatever it was. So we knew what it was right as you decided not to go for it.
Yeah, I'm glad I paused when I did.
Yeah, I definitely in my menu just to make sure I didn't have it yet before heading down there.
We were very grateful for that menu check and the realization, oh, I need to check that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah, I guess since this is my exit from the tournament, I'd just like to say thanks to all of the admins, commentators, trackers, and everybody playing, because it was a ton of fun participating. My goal was honestly just to qualify for this, so to make it to the final match in the group stage, I'm more than happy with my result.
Yep, it's been a fun series, and I'm looking forward to seeing what ends up happening in brackets.
Okay, great. Thanks. I want to thank both of you for being restreamed and playing tonight. I just want to again say that it was very well done. So that looked great. And on that note, anybody who's here and viewing in chat, you watch these really great runners tonight, please do remember to give them a follow. Along with all our other volunteers. The links were all posted in chat earlier. I want to thank someone who we actually haven't shouted out yet today, but B-Links was our tracker today, and without our trackers, this makes everybody's life a lot more difficult on Restream, so they really, really do help us out. And I want to say thanks to Finch. It was really nice coming with you here tonight.
Yeah, and it was great coming with you as well as Zethno. And B-Links, thank you so much for tracking and for keeping us honest on what items our runners have. Thank you so much again, Pikapals and Skele, for the fantastic race, for the volunteers that help make SpeedGaming just happen. And thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I think our next races are tomorrow.
Actually, there's actually a ongoing race right now over on SpeedGaming Main on the SpeedGaming channel. There is one more A Link to the Past Randomizer 2021 tournament game going on. That game is between Hayfield Bay and Demo. So definitely, if you enjoyed what you were seeing here, go over there and continue the ALTTPR action.
Absolutely.
And don't forget to follow this channel, SpeedGaming 3, and then SpeedGaming and SpeedGaming 2 through 6 to make sure you don't miss any of the other games that are going to be coming up in the next few days.
And especially as we're in at the last part of the group stages and about to start the brackets, this is getting to be an exciting part of the tournament as well.
Yeah, I'm sure they're all going to be great games coming up. And I cannot wait to see them. And I hope to see all of you there as well.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we will see you all later.